Peace, peace, peace. What's going on, everybody? This is your guy, Rashone, and this is Space Invaders TV. Welcome to our YouTube channel here. This evening, but first, before I go into that, I want to say that it's Wednesday night, 11 p.m., uh, July the 21st, 2021. Welcome to my subscribers, my returning subscribers. Welcome to my new subscribers. I want to say thank you all. Make sure that y'all share the video around, like the video. I'm not here. I don't get paid for this or nothing. This is all about each one, teach one. I talk about national issues as well as local issues. It's all about just keeping people informed. I talk about various things, some issues you may have heard of, some issues you may not heard of, you know. But of lately, going on 2 months now, I've been talking about the Guilford County school system because I am a parent of a child in the Guilford County school system. And there's a lot of questions I've had. And being that I've been talking about so many things, I kind of almost got pulled away from what was really going on here in the county with the school system. So it led me to start talking about it. And it led me to start digging in and looking up some things. And if you go back and look at the previous videos when I'm talking about the Guilford County school system, then you'll know. And you'll be up to speed with certain things too. So last week I explained to you guys and I said, I'm going to catch you up this week right here. Is going to be the icing on the cake to help you explain the whole mentality of this Sharon Contreras, the board members, and how I believe, and what we're going to go over tonight is the Broad Academy. I believe that Sharon Contreras has adopted their mission and brought it, their mission, their objectives and goals, and brought them to Guilford County. And what we are seeing is their mission. I believe that she studied she studied under Robert Runchi. And if you don't know who Robert Runchi is, you will find out this evening. But just to give you a briefing, Robert Runchi was the superintendent of schools in Broward County, Florida. He was the superintendent during the Parkland, Florida, the Parkland High School shooting, aka they call it Parkland High School, but it's Parkland, Florida. Is really the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, where then a young man walked into the school named Nicholas Cruz, and he gunned down some students. And how that young man, Nicholas Cruz, suffered from mental health issues ever since he was a young child. And so we're gonna talk about the Broad Academy. I'm gonna run through the Guilford County Schools website. We're gonna go to the Take Back Our Schools GCS website. I'm gonna tie that in with this book and how all of this information, why Meadow died. It was written by Andrew Polak. He's the father of Meadow. She was one of the children killed and at the Parkland High School on that fatal day. I believe that was Valentine's Day that happened too. Yeah, and I want to say thank you to my good friend Stephanie. She gave me this book here, and I just been referencing it with everything and putting it together and tying it together with the Broad Academy and those views that the Broad Academy has. I believe Sharon Contreras had become, she studied under that program. And we're going to get into that, and I'm going to break it all down. Hey, make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend about this page. costs you nothing. Um, this right here, hashtag Student Lives Matter. I'm creating a group page on Facebook. It's going to be available. I'll have it up before Friday. It should be up and ready to go. I'm just adding some things on the page right now, but it's an informative page. Everything education. As students are encouraged. So if there's any student that wants to be a part of the page, if you have your child, they doing anything great with in academics, maybe they know how to, maybe they're good at something academic wise, maybe they're good in reading, math, whatever, they want to tutor. I encourage anything education will be, you can share it on that page with respectfully, no disrespect. We're not gonna allow any of that on that page. Teachers, if it's a student that wants to shout their teacher out or shout their school out, or you play sports, and you want to shout your school out, however you want to shout your team out, hey, if you have offer some type of child care services, shout it out on the page. As long as it ain't, if you promoting your business, as long as you're not overdoing it, but other than that, it's all things education. Any articles, any findings, and you don't have to be from Guilford County, North Carolina, nowhere around the state of North Carolina at all. You could be from anywhere. You just want to share some news, because I'll be doing it, sharing the news from around the country or whatever. Even outside of the country, if it's something that may coincide with what we talking about. But hashtag Student Lives Matter, that's the group page that's going to be on Facebook. So I encourage you all to come check it out. Come be a part of the group respectfully. As I said, it'll be a respectful page, and I wanted the young adults and the children to be a part of the page too, because if we're gonna talk about the children, we can't talk at them. We got to talk with them. We got to meet them where they at, and we got to invite them into the spaces. Especially what we seeing today, and we seeing things like Sharon Contreras, a superintendent like that, that's just running a dictatorship, and so yeah, we'll get into more of that. But right now, what I want to talk about, have you guys even heard of the Restart program, the Restart schools? Has anybody heard of the Restart schools? Do anybody know what that is? The Restart schools, okay? Again, I believe, because Guilford County has a list of them that were on the Guilford County School website on their calendar. I'm going to run down that list for you guys. But I believe that all the funding that may have been given to Sharon Contreras for Guilford County schools, I believe that, because in my findings, what I found out, and even I learned in this book right here, is that Andrew Polak talks about how it's different funding that the schools were getting. On a national level, there's funding they get, but when they get those funds, there's certain things they got to do. And I'm believing and I'm thinking, is this Restart schools was some type of trade-off? Because when did this Restart thing happen? And they're not even talking about it. I believe that's something you should talk about, because the Restart schools are schools that are low performing schools in the urban community, so within the city. And again, Broad Academy focuses on urban communities. I don't know why, I don't know what the deal, but we'll go down and I'll show you that. I'll read all of that stuff off to you. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to Guilford County Schools, and this is the 2021-2022 Restart Schools academic calendar. These are the schools on the list here, folks. You might can't see it because it might be a little Might be a little blurry. You probably can't see, but I'm about to read off the list here. It says the Guilford County Schools website. These are the restart schools within the city here, Greensboro. So Bessemer Elementary, Buford STEM Academy, Cone Elementary, Faulkner Elementary, Ferndale Middle, Faust Elementary, Fraser Elementary, Gillespie Park Elementary, Harrison Middle, Jackson Middle, Vandalia Elementary, Wellborn Middle, Wiley Elementary, Fairview Elementary, Northeast Middle, Washington Elementary, Alderman Elementary, Oakview Elementary, Sagefield Elementary, Monteloo Academy of Technology, Eastern Middle, Swan Middle, and Western Middle. Those are the schools on the restart. On the restart schools academic calendar on the Guilford County School website. Look on the Guilford County School website, check that calendar, and you'll see the restart schools for 2021-2022. And what a restart school is a school that is low performing. I just want to know from Sharon Contreras and the board, why isn't that talked about? Why hasn't that been explained what a restart school is? Why haven't you told parents what a restart school is? I encourage parents to check that out. I encourage you parents and and even the teachers, even if you teachers didn't know, I encourage you to check that out. And if you didn't know, and I want to know, why hasn't that been talked about? School kids were learning from home on the computers. Let's just say, ever since March of last year, of 2020. So when did this restart thing come in handy? Because if you want to stay low performing, that's what a restart school. Then I should say all the Guilford County schools should be low performing, right? Because they all were in school, and everybody wasn't on the computers. Everybody didn't have access to a computer. Okay, let's be clear on that, to learn from home. Everybody didn't have access to Wi-Fi to learn from home. So let's be clear on that. So we're going to talk about a low performing schools. But once we get into this, you're going to see why I'm saying that Contreras has adapted the Broad Academy mission and brought it to Guilford County schools, because Broad Academy whole mission is to come into underdeveloped urban schools. They like to attack the urban school system because they feel like they're underperforming. They just feel like they're underperforming, and but I still don't understand their mission. And when I read it to you, you won't understand neither. But I encourage you to go to their website. It's Broad Academy, BROADACADEMY, Broad Academy, and you'll understand what it is. And also, when you just Google Broad Academy, you'll see it'll give you a breakdown of what Broad Academies is about, and only superintendents. They focus on superintendents because they like to get the superintendents. Somehow it's like a 10-week training program. They like to get superintendents, and they like to get superintendents into their program, and whatever their mission is, because they never quite explain what it is on the website. But we'll get into that. So moving on, where we going now? Let me go back in here. Let me just check my other notes I got here, folks. Got some other notes I want to run down to y'all real quick. Let's go here. Okay, so I'm gonna walk you through something so y'all can understand. So we're gonna talk about this book here, Why Meadow Died. Once again, Meadow was a young girl. She was a victim, and she was killed by the Parkland shooter, Nicholas Cruz. He suffered from mental health issues for ever since he was a young kid, very young kid. He suffered. He was showing like he was showing all the signs as a very young kid. But so numerous teachers had attempted. I'm just reading my notes here, because I don't want to misstep nothing. Um, numerous attempts from teachers, faculty, and staff about the behavior of Nicholas Cruz throughout his time in the educational system, and how it had gotten worse by the sixth grade, uh, and how he attended, and how he, I'm sorry, y'all, it got worse by the sixth grade, um, and he was in regular public school, and then he wound up getting, after numerous write-ups and had to go through so many different changes, uh, about behavior and all of these things, because you just can't, because of the way the education system, and they looked at it as a civil rights thing, like it's a kid's right to be in school. So no matter how he acted out in school, I mean, Nicholas Cruz was doing, like, I mean, he was doing some psycho type stuff. He had a thing for, he videotaped himself skinning animals, drowning cats. He would I mean, this young kid would ejaculate in the classroom. This young kid was just, he did all the unthinkable. He would be in the hallway and just jump out on kids and just scare them, and then just laugh, like just laugh, mainly like a maniac. Almost, when I read this book and read the chapters about his life, when it put me in a mind state of the Joker. Seriously, if you watch the movie The Joker, it put me in the mind state of that movie, of how the Joker mentality was, and he had a mental issue. So that's what Nicholas Cruz put me in the mind of, his whole behavior. He was a problem ever since. He tried to, at the age of 2, he tried to drown his little brother in the pool. I mean, so this kid, so he wound up after he was in let me get my notes, because I don't want to miss. He was in forget the name of that. I don't want to go back through these right here, but he wound up going to a school called Cross Creek. It was a school for behavior. It was a school for children with behavior disorders. So he went to that school, but somehow he was released back into the public school system, and he winded back in Parkland. He winded up in Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, aka Parkland High School. And then that's when it all went down, because by this time he's really out of it. And everybody, by this time he's in high school now, so he's there at the high school, and everybody's looking at him like a weirdo. He's doing weird things. He's just, and ultimately that's what, once he got to Parkland, that was it, and he wound up taking out, I believe, about 17 students, if I'm not mistaken, and Meadow was one of them. And her dad, once again, wrote this book here, and he went through everything and talked about how the system fails children with disorders and troubled children. how they just push them along for money purposes because they don't want to. Around the country, these schools don't want to spend money on children. Like they want to save money. It costs them a lot of money to put one child in a school that's for behavior disorders. So they'll keep them and using the excuse of it's that child's civil rights. Yeah, it's a child's civil right to be. It's their right to be taught. You supposed to teach them in a fair education to get, you know. But if they're disruption, if they have a mental disorder, they should not be in the kid in a school with sane minded children because they're liable to hurt somebody, which ultimately happened with Nicholas Cruz. That's what happened. So moving on. Now we're gonna go. I wanna read some here out of the book here. I'm gonna read page 88 here. I want to read a section out of 88 here, out of the book. Once again, Why Meadow Died. I'm gonna read page 88 here. Read a section. So, like I said to you, how they move the kids along with disorders. School administration often go through months-long process of evaluating a student for placement in a specialized school for North Tim Stormberg, whom you'll hear from in Chapter 11, once worked at Whispering Pines, a specialized school in Broward County, similar to Cross Creek. He told us that 8 or 9 out of every 10 recommendations to transfer a student to his school were rejected. I'm going to read that again. Tim Stormberg, whom you'll hear from in Chapter 11, once worked at Whispering Pines, a specialized school in Broward County, similar to Cross Creek. He told us that 8 or 9 out of every 10 recommendations to transfer a student to his school were rejected, but it was not always this difficult. Joe Parsons, a recently retired art teacher who taught at Cross Creek for 29 years, he taught there for 29 years, lamented that the impetus for making transfers more difficult was a desire to save money. It is far more expensive for a school district to serve a student like Cruz in a specialized school than in a traditional school. It should sound awful that school districts systematically underserve emotionally disturbed students in order to save money, but it actually provides a strong public relations benefit to superintendents like Robert Runcie. Remember I said something to you about Robert Runcie? So Robert Runcie is the school. He was the school superintendent at Broward for Broward County in Florida, and he was the superintendent during the time that Cruz shot up Parkland High School, aka Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. That's because social justice activist groups framed this issue as a black and white question of civil rights. Putting students like Cruz in schools like Cross Creek is alleged to be ableist discrimination against the disabled. And keeping them in schools like Westglades is the self-evidently virtuous practice of inclusion. Shortly after Cruz transferred to Cross Creek, a scathing third-party review of Broward's ESE program, Exceptionally Special Education Program, was published. The report noted that Broward's ratio of ESC students to staff was 19-1, almost twice that of neighboring Miami-Dade County. I'm gonna stop right there. So that's what it boiled down to, and ultimately, Nicholas Cruz was just failed. He couldn't help his mental health, his issue. His mother struggled with him, and then him being in school, they failed and dropped the ball as well. Um, so that's what we're seeing around the country. You're seeing things happen in school. If it ain't shootings, it's fightings. It's fighting. It may not be nobody get shot, but it be drive-bys happening. All types of things. You just like here in Guilford County, you had the young girl 14-year-old get jumped into school and things of that nature. And I mean, the security is bad in the schools. It's all about money. They're not spending money on security in these schools, and then you having things like this. And that was another thing in the Parkland, the security. They did not have security. They did not spend the money on the security. And this is a nationwide thing. These superintendents are not trying to do that. They're again, is that broad academy view. And when I read that to you, you will understand. Let's go on here. I wanted to read page 93 to y'all. When Nicholas Cruz arrived at Cross Creek in the spring of 2014, school was upheaval as it struggled to accommodate an influx of students and staff from recently shuttered Sunset School. The previous year, Superintendent Runchi had announced that the district would close that specialized school for students with behavior disabilities because it was under-enrolled. Some teachers cried while they learned the news, and parents were even more distraught. For many of Sunset's disabled and disturbed students, it had taken years to build trust with adults other than their parents. Now those bonds were being broken. Melissa Smith explained that her autistic and nonverbal 13-year-old son had finally been successful, potty trained at Sunset, and had even started making friends. He's going to go back to throwing poo days because all of this is being taken from him, Smith said. He has friends. I never thought he would have friends. Stuff like that. It matters. Big. Another mother, Jane Lawrence, said it was a life-saving ordeal for Justin to get here. The school knew how to handle him. The fact that it was an ordeal to enroll students like Justin in a specialized school contributed to Sunset's under-enrollment, and its under-enrollment was the justification for its closure. In the name of administrative efficiency, David Martinez, whose daughter is fed through a tube, complained, "It's not right, it's not right," on the backs of our children. They want to save money. But the full story is even worse. Catherine Francis, head of the district's ESC department, allegedly pushed to close Sunset in part from a desire to use the building as office space for her and her staff. Sound a little familiar, don't it? Remember I talked about last week when I said the Gateway Education Center on East Wendover, how Sharon Contreras was trying to shut that down. And it was said about they was trying to probably trying to sell the land and shut that building down, and all because she didn't want to fix it. It had issues like a lot of the schools here in the county. They're old, from the '60s, with no upgrades. But Sharon Contreras wanted to shut down the Gateway Education Center on East Wendover. And like I said again, there was talks about like she wanted to possibly try to sell the land to somebody. But It was really because she didn't want to fix uh, those issues like the roof issues and other maintenance issues that need to be fixed. But the parents wasn't having that over there, so the school ultimately got the work that needed to be done on it. But if it wasn't for those parents, and if you're not familiar with the Gateway Education Center, that's a special needs. That's for special needs children, you know, that are in wheelchairs and things of that nature, and just special needs children. And you have to be a heartless person to want to, shut that down. And it just bugged me out because I'm like, isn't Sharon Contreras hearing impaired? Like I would think you would have some type of I would think just from that right there, you would have a heart. You would know, like, just from that right there, but guess not. But yeah, I'm gonna stop right there. So for some reason this is all the mission of this broad academy thing. Like it's just their mission, man. I don't understand. Um, I don't understand. It's like they just try to take away. They want to come in the urban community and then strip different programs and shut down schools and do things. This is something that everything that Robert Runchi did down there in Florida, and ultimately Robert Runchi had to step down because he was arrested for perjury charges concerning the Parkland shooting. He lied about some things. Um, so I think he put in his resignation. This I think he put it in back in the spring. So he's not coming back. That's it. You know. But ultimately, the guy Robert Runchi didn't think he did anything wrong in that situation. But reading this book, there were so many things that he did wrong, man. Um, so we're gonna get into this broad academy thing here. Let's go here. Okay. Well, first we're gonna go to take back our schools. So, how to tell if your school district is infected by the broad academy virus? Okay. Let me try to move the camera around, y'all. How to tell if your school is infected by the broad academy, by the broad virus. This is Take Back Our Schools GCS. You go to their website, Take Back Our School GCS. Go to the website and click on the broad academy. And they're gonna break down. So number one, no communication from schools. You hear from your students about fights at schools that don't get reported correctly. You receive conflicting data between the city police department and your local school. Transparency is the number one culprit. Public requests for information takes months or are never granted. Specific details regarding how money is spent is very vague or they will not give. Additional dollars keep being requested from local government, city, county commissioners to make budget and fix things. Ballooning of personnel at central office. At the same time, superintendent makes painful cuts to classrooms, schools, buildings, and maintenance. Upper management begins to increase and less dollars are spent on actual teachers, staff, students, and buildings. Power is centralized. Decision making is top down. The district hires a number of broad trainees, sorority, fraternity, family, and co-workers they have worked with in other districts. You have many superintendents for your principals. Lots of CTEs, new programs and charters. Old programs that were successful start to fail and are canceled with no notice. New programs that do not help those that need it the most are wonderful. New opportunities are started for the betterment of the student. Then funding is cut or backers drop out. No longer offering transportation for students or all the wonderful perks. Look great on paper for the superintendent and district, but at the end also start to fail. Buildings are let to fall apart. always blames on lack of money. Annual budgets reduce the maintenance portion of the facilities. Every year, buildings start falling apart. No heat, mold, bad water, electrical. Schools in your district are suddenly closed, or your superintendent will try to close. Even top performing schools, alternative schools, schools for the gifted. The Promise Program. Remember, we spoke about this last week. The Promise Program, right? I spoke to y'all about that last week. Let me move this around here. I spoke to y'all about the Promise Program last week, right? So here it's talking about it. The Promise Program is still being used, and police are not allowed to uphold the law. They need permission from administration to go onto the school grounds and or arrest the students. Students are allowed to plead out of punishment. RJP, Restorative Justice Program. The perpetrator has more rights than the student abuse. So they talked about that in here too. The Restorative Justice Program. There was so many things they tried with the young man Nicholas Cruz, the Parkland high school shooter. There was so many things they tried with him. As I said before, he was one of those kids that, you know, he suffered from he had behavior health issues, mental health issues, you know, and he suffered ever since a young kid. And you know, this Promise Program is one of the things, is the thing that, you know, that's implemented, that kids like him just slide through the cracks, man. So moving on, safety and the students' welfare are not priority. Programs are adopted but never implemented. Equipment for such things as IDs, bus tracking, cameras, panic buttons are purchased but are not used in all schools. Many schools get the hardware but never implemented. Okay? Repetition of phrases and words. The achievement gap, and closing the achievement gap in district documents and public statements. Repeated use of terms: equity, equality, white privilege, excellence, and best practices, and data-driven decisions. You've all heard those things. You all heard those things. Especially if you're a teacher, you heard those. You heard those phrases and words, you know, that I just ran off again. Equity, equality, white privilege, excellence, and best practices, data-driven decisions, achievement gap, you know, all of those things. And they talk about that in this book. So I pretty much used this book. I used and going to the Take Back Our Schools, Guilford, GCS, and just weighing out all the things about the Broad Academy, and then watching and seeing how everything I've been talking about with Contreras, how it's all making sense now. So let me move on. There's so many other things on here. Always wants to implement and spend money on new programs. Assesses amounts of testing induced and imposed on your kids. Weak math tests adopted. Most likely everyday math. Possibly weak language arts too. SAG, SACA, NACS, Advanced ED, all now called Cognia. They're doing analysis of your schools, and all of which support your superintendent's strategic plan. They in turn provide or fabricate data that supports the superintendent's ed reform agenda. Factual accuracy not required. The production of data that is false or cherry-picked and then used to justify reforms. This data appears to contradict what you know, gut level, and what teachers say to be true about your district. Okay, so it is a lot of playing around with these students going on. Suddenly increasing number of paid outside consultants. Services from outside firms are procured to generate reports about your school system. These reports discuss shutting down and consolidating the existing system and building. Superintendent behaves as if He is beyond reproach. Superintendent reads phone or sends texts while parents and teachers are giving public testimony at school board meetings, blatantly ignoring public input. The superintendent receives the highest salary ever paid to a superintendent in your town's history, plus benefits and car allowance, possibly more than your mayor or governor, and the community is told that is the national competitive rate for a city of this size. Superintendent bypasses school board entirely and keeps them out of the loop on significant issues. Does that sound familiar? I'm going to read that again. This is still on the Take Back Our Schools GCS website. Again, I'm going to read that about the superintendent. Superintendent behaves as if he or she is beyond reproach. Superintendent bypasses school board entirely and keeps them out of the loop on significant or all issues. And what has happened with the superintendent with Sharon Contreras here in Guilford County? What did she do? When the board allowed her to get the emergency, to allow her the emergency to do the emergency move or whatever, the emergency procedure or whatever, they allow her to do that, and now she don't want to give it back to him. So pretty much they got in the back seat and gave her full reign to do what she needed to do during last year, during the height of the COVID. But now when things are opening back up and it's going to be back in-person school, the board wanted it back. She's like, no, there's no reason. And some of her hang-alongs don't want to, they agree like, hey, yeah, well, let's not give it back to them. I think we should still hold on. Allow her to keep her, that power for now. But she's just running amok with it and really not doing anything with it. She's keep asking for more money, but nothing is really happening. But I'm going to speed it up here. But y'all go to Take Back Our Schools, GCS, okay? Let me get up in here. I got to get here. Take Back Our Schools, GCS, and I want you to click on the Broad Academy. And everything I just read to you, there's more on there, but I'm just moving along. I want y'all to go on there and look at that. Take Back Our Schools, GTS. Let me bring the camera up a little close for y'all so y'all can see what it look like. See that? Take Back Our Schools, GCS. I want y'all to go up there, and everything that I just said to y'all, you'll see yourself. Now I'm going to move on over here to the Broad Academy. So, Broad Academy Superintendents, BSA, is a training program held in 6 sessions over 10 months, after which participants may expect to be placed in an urban school district. Applicants are solicited from the fields of education, the military, the private sector, and government. The sessions include contact with companies which specialize in nationwide school executive searches. That's what the Broad Academy is. Broad Superintendent Academy. That's what they call it. Broad Superintendent Academy. That's what it is. Okay? So now we go into the Broad Academy, right? This is the website here. This is what, so you'll know when you want it. That's the website, folks. The Broad Academy. Alright? And I'm going to start reading some things off here. So if I'm out of the picture, I'm still here. I'm just trying to show you the let's go. About the Academy. So, the Broad Academy is currently transitioning to a new home at the Yale School of Management and will no longer be accepting resumes. We encourage you to learn more about the Academy's new successor program, the Fellowship for Public Education Leadership at the Broad Center at Yale. SOM, whatever that means. Let's go here to about our mission. This is our mission on the broad. We gonna go here. But see what this said right here: education leaders, community partners, lasting results of listening. Okay, we work toward the day when American public education has been transformed into an engine of excellence and equality. So every student graduates ready for college, careers, and life. To make that vision a reality across entire cities and states, not just the individual school, we need more than great teachers and principals. It also takes extraordinary people. So, what I'm trying to get to. Okay, what did it say here? Our beliefs. We are driven to do this work because every child everywhere is worthy of public education that prepares her for a future of limitless possibilities. Our programs and our work are built around the following beliefs. Public education is the foundation of a just and thriving society. Education unlocks opportunity and economic freedom, and it empowers our youth to reach their full potential. Now, they keep harping on the public education, right? But my thing is this. See, they get their people involved that they want involved, and then that allows them, they know the urban school systems get a lot of money. A lot of money's coming through the urban schools, right? So they know they get their people in there, their people get all of get these funds. Somehow that money gets funneled back to this broad academy. That's what I believe. And I also believe that this CRT, this critical race theory, I also believe that that's part of this broad academy. I believe that's part of them, that they're part of that, and I wouldn't be surprised if they not behind pushing that whole thought process there. You know, because it's just mighty strange that, you know, some of when I'm hearing about it, it's through, you hear more of the outrage in the urban community, you know, when it comes to it. And then there's so many different ideas behind that critical race theory too. Okay, about the residency at the Broad Academy. So when you click on the Broad residency, that's on the Broad is the when you go to the website, it's going to be broadcenter.org. Okay, and when you go to this website, it's going to have the Broad residency, Broad Academy. This is all at the top of the screen here. Okay, it's all at the top of the screen. So, I'm sorry to keep moving this around, but I'm just trying to let y'all know that this ain't nothing that I'm making up. The Broad Residency is currently transitioning to a new home, and yeah, we talked about that. The Broad Residency is an urban education, provides the opportunity for outstanding management, professional. Let's read that again. The Broad Residency in Urban Education provides the opportunity for outstanding management professionals to apply their skills and knowledge to meet the challenges faced by urban public school systems. Whether you've worked in education or not, our 2-year program is designed to help you grow professionally as you create positive, lasting impact on behalf of students and communities. So, what I want you to ask yourself when you go to this site, when you read in the Broad Academy's website, is broadcenter.org. Or you could just punch in, you could just go to Google and type in broadacademy.com. And it'll bring you to it. And you'll see, as again, it'll look like this. When you see this and you see that logo and everything like that, then you know you're on the right site. Okay? But my thing is this. From reading the site, right? My question is, what is the success rate of this broad academy? What is the success rate of this whole thing? Um, because on the Broad Academy website, they have different sections. They have the Broad Academy, then they have the Broad Residency, then they have our alumni. And don't you believe that Runchi is part of their alumni? Robert Runchi is part of their alumni. I'm trying to find him. Well, actually, he said something. Let me go here. I'm going to show you a picture of Robert Runchi. It's amazing. This whole thing is amazing. They must have took him off of here because he sure enough was on here. Fellow profile. I want to show y'all this Robert Runchi because they make a. Let's see here. Then I'm gonna wrap this up, folks. But I just wanted to bring y'all in and let y'all know like how this Broad Academy works and how I believe that once you go to the Broad Academy's website, you're gonna understand like what they're saying doesn't even make sense. Like it's not. They're just talking at stuff. It's like, what is your success rate? What do you actually do? You're training educators and stuff to do what? Like what do they need from you if they went to school already for? They got their degrees to educate. What do they need to come to you for? Or what are you actually teaching these superintendents? You talking about teaching, helping them to help the urban school systems be great, helping to make them better people. You're just talking at stuff, and you're not really explaining what it is that you're doing. What kind of teaching? What are you teaching these people that done went to college already and got their degrees or whatever? What extra are you teaching them? I'm confused. And my other thing is, why are y'all? Why isn't this Broad Academy talked about more on a national level to let more parents and people in the education system know more about this? Because I'm just curious if is it any parents out there? I mean, any parents out there that might have heard of this already before I brought it up? Is there any educators out there that known about this before I brought it up? If so, then explain to me what's your take on it. And now that I brought all of this to you guys, I'm gonna make sure that I put everything in a link of this video here where you can go to and look up everything that I just brought up to tonight. Even the book, Why Meadow Died. You can look at that book and reference everything in that book as well to Take Back Our Schools GCS, to the Broad Academy. And then when you go to Take Back Our Schools GCS and they run down the list of the Broad Academy, when you go to Take Back Our Schools GCS, at the top it'll have, Broad Academy. You click on that and all of those descriptions, it's going to bring you right back to Sharon Contreras. And it's Robert Runchi, I'm sorry, yo. And it's going to bring you back to, like, Do you know this guy? Did y'all go to this Broad Academy together? Because because you following his whole path. They must have took the Robert Runchy guy up off of here, because he sure enough was on here. You know, they might have took him off here because he's going. You know, he got arrested. You know, so they might have took him off of here. And they was proud. They was proud to show him on this page. I'm telling you. They done changed up this page too from a week ago. You know, but yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up, folks. I just want to know, if I was to start a chapter, how many of you parents would want to be involved and teachers would want to be involved? Who would want to be involved? If I was to start a chapter, Student Lives Matter chapter, to hold this education system here in Guilford County accountable. You have to hold them accountable for what they do, and also get the children involved. You know, the young adults. Also have the high school kids with us, because this is their future. You know, the younger kids, they probably won't quite understand it, so that's why I say the high school kids. But in the middle school and high school, you know, getting them involved and having them a part of it, because this is their future and they have to invest in it. And we're showing them that we can stand together as adults and we with them, you know, and it'll help to better understand. You know, we can't keep alienating ourselves from the children. We can't keep saying that they're crazy, they're bad, they're this, they're that. These kids are really bright, quite bright. If that sound right. You know, and sometimes they just want somebody to listen to them, you know, and that's what Student Lives Matter is about and going to be about. But if I start a chapter, I can't do this alone. You know, I'm speaking up and I'm trying to share information that I have and I'm gaining, and I'm wanting to share it with you guys. And but you know, I don't want it to fall on deaf ears with who I'm presenting it to, because see, we have technology, as I spoke today, and there's ways we can get to people how we need to get to them. It ain't always about marching and protesting all the time out in these streets and winding up in trouble. It's about what you're doing behind the scenes, but putting a team together and putting all strong people in place. That's what I want to do with the Student Lives Matter, is putting parents or community people in the community that's takes education seriously, or that has children within the education system, and just as passionate as I am about, you know, holding these adults, other adults, accountable, and not just allowing them to run over our students. These children are the future, and we can't allow these people to play with the future, because these kids have they have the world at their fingertips, literally. They have the world at their fingertips, and these people are just playing around with their lives, and people and young kids are just being, they're missing out on so much more. And then you have those children that suffer from mental health issues that are being pushed along and overlooked, and they need to be attended to. And the security in these schools need to be stepped up. The discipline, we can't allow them to keep playing this game with this discipline. They want to use the race card but the crazy thing about it, they're using the African American race when they're playing this game, about the security and about, well, discipline, I should say. They're using the race card when they're talking about this discipline. You will find that when you read this book, you will find the research that was done. You will find that they use the race card, but they're using the African American race as the reason why, the discipline, African Americans was getting disciplined 70% more than white Americans. And it's like, you're using that, so then you get the groups all riled up, as I spoke about, as I read briefly from out of the book. Like, you get these groups riled up, and then they have good intentions, but they misinformed, and then fall right into the hands of the enemy with this whole thing. And then all the kids suffer. It don't matter the race, all the kids suffer. Because if there's a child with a mental health issue, and he's in this public school or whatever said school, and he comes in and he shoots that school up, don't care what color you are, he suffers from mental health issues. He ain't seeing no color. It's all red he's seeing. But it's a system that's failing. So I just want to know, when I ask, if I do this, if I was to create a chapter, how many will be interested, participating, and playing a part in a student lives chapter? Let me move this back so y'all can see this. The Student Lives Matter chapter. If I started a chapter, would y'all be a part of it? That's all I'm saying. It's all about the children. But that's my time. I'm your guy, Rashone. I'm gonna make sure to leave everything that we spoke about, the different references, websites, or whatever. I'm gonna put them in the description of this video. Make sure y'all tap into on the Facebook to the group page, Student Lives Matter group page. As I said before, real briefly, I'm gonna run it down again. It's gonna be a page for all education, any informative, any information you want to share that's going on around the country in the education system, nationally, locally, any student accolades. Students want to post up, you want to post up your report card or whatever. Post that up. You want to shout out your teacher. It's for the students and the teachers and the parents. Be a part of it. If it's a teacher that just want to shout out her class or students, or the school, do that. As a parent, you just want to shout your child out and let them know how proud of them you are, or her, or vice versa. You want to shout the school out. If you provide some type of after school care, feel free to post that up. Just don't overdo it on the page, because I'll flag it. I ain't gonna take too much promoting a business multiple times, because it is an education site. But if it's something to do with after school care for a parent, even if it's a kid out there that's a tutor that wants to tutor, that's good in a certain subject, feel free, and you want to tutor, or you tutor and you want to promote yourself, feel free to to promote on there as well, and help your fellow students out. you know, or any programs that's going around pertaining to education within Guilford County, around the state, feel free to post it on Student Lives Matter group page, you know. So go ahead and request up there, and I'll accept it. And once again, it's gonna be it's a respectful group page that I'm starting, and no disrespect will be allowed on that page. It's all respect, all around the board. Once again, I thank y'all. Make sure y'all subscribe. If this is your first time watching the page, subscribe, or tell a friend to tell a friend. You know, that's all I ask. It costs you nothing. Click thumbs up if you like it, whatever. Leave a comment in the message here of the video. Hey, I'm all open for it. Once again, this is your guy Rashone. This is Space Invaders TV. I thank y'all. Next week, I'm gonna be talking about. We're gonna talk about the founders of this, or the advisory board and directors of this broad academy. We're gonna talk about them. We're gonna run through them. We're gonna break that down too next week. Yeah, because there's some things that I found that I want to share with y'all. I wish I could talk longer with y'all, but once again, I thank y'all. Peace and blessings to all y'all. Make sure, if you want to leave me any messages, you can always hit me at Space Invaders. Yahoo is SPYCEINVADERZ at yahoo.com. Space Invaders. SPYCEINVADERZ at yahoo.com. You can leave me messages or whatever. If you want to ask a question, if it's some information you want to drop on me, feel free. Thank you. Peace and blessings to all y'all.